Hello and good afternoon. My name is Farahana Kassam, and today I will be talking to you about the importance of self-care during divorce. Before I dive into the content, I would like to share a little bit about myself. I'm the founder of a project called the M&M series, which stands for the Mindfulness and Meditation series. And what this project aims to do is to bring the practice of mindfulness and meditation to as many people as possible. I love doing workshops with children and adults as well. I'm also a children's book author. My first book that I self-published was back in 2017. It's a book called Doing and Being. It teaches children about mindfulness. And my most recent book that is also self-published is called Carlos Deloney Caterpillar. In addition to being a mindfulness coach and a published author, I am also a mom to a beautiful 9-year-old boy, and that's him, and his name is Ilion, and that is the latest addition to our family. He is a miniature golden doodle, and that is our beloved Max Powers. So I too have gone through divorce, so I'm very familiar with the process and the challenges that it brings. And I am so happy to be here today with you all to share what I've come to understand and the tools that you can use for your own personal self-care during your journey of divorce. One more thing I would like to share about me is that last year in 2020, in July, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so this is my newest hurdle, I guess, in life. And I have to say that without the practice of mindfulness and meditation, this chapter would have been a lot more challenging. And so I've really seen that through divorce, through cancer, through COVID, through job loss, all of these traumas in our life that are oftentimes unavoidable, mindfulness and meditation has really helped me carry through during difficult times. So I'm really excited and happy to be here. So with all that being shared so far, COVID, my recent diagnosis with breast cancer, all the work that I do with mindfulness and meditation with children, adults, and writing and trying to publish my work, where would the state of my mind be looking at this picture? Do you think my mind is full or am I mindful? So just thinking about that and your own personal lives under the conditions that you are right now, the experiences in your life that you're going through, all of us are going through some form of clutter in the mind where there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of worry. And so our minds, just like that picture, are pretty cluttered. Most of the time we're having a lot of thoughts, and most of the time those thoughts that we have are not necessarily the best thoughts that help us to feel relaxed and calm. Actually quite the opposite perhaps is my guess. We're feeling very stressed out, we're feeling very anxious, we're very fearful, and so it's kind of hard to stay in that Zen state of mind where we're being mindful about things, right? And I think that is a common experience for everybody, and it's okay. It's okay. So I just wanted to draw that attention between the experiences of mindful versus mindful. So let's go ahead and spend a few minutes talking about what mindfulness is. What is the practice of mindfulness about? So the simplest definition of mindfulness is that mindfulness is the awareness of the present moment. And far too often, being present, especially under the circumstances and experiences I just mentioned of life and the challenges that it has brought about, especially recently, and perhaps if we're going through divorce or thinking about it, you can imagine that staying present is very, very difficult. We spend a lot more time thinking about the past and being stuck in the past and regrets of the past, feeling angry about the past, feeling disappointed about the past. And we also spend a lot of time in the future, what is tomorrow going to look like? We're in times of uncertainty, both with the COVID situation as well as going through divorce. It's a very scary time. It's a very uncertain time. And so we spend much of our time worrying about what the future is going to look like. And so being stuck in the past, being focused and obsessed about fearful thoughts about the future, the worst case scenarios, what if this happens, what if that happens, we spend very, very little time focused on the present moment. And so the practice of mindfulness is really a beautiful tool to help us stay present. It helps us stay in the present moment, paying attention on purpose and without judgment. Mindfulness also helps us to face situations that trigger us by means of responding to those situations rather than reacting. And I'll speak more about that a little further into the presentation. Let me briefly first talk to you a little bit about the benefits of mindfulness. So when we practice mindfulness, we're engaging our brain in a way that helps us to improve our focus, our attention, and the ability for us to retain information. Because oftentimes when we're stressed out or we're feeling anxious and we're being given information, it's very difficult for the brain to take that information and store it in a place where memory is held, so that at the more opportune time when we need that information to come back to us, we can dig back into that space of memory and recollect that information that has been stored. Oftentimes when we are in a place of high stress, high anxiety, high worry, our brain has the inability to store that information and really keep it there in a way that we remember it. And so, if for example, I share personal experiences about divorce for me personally on that journey, it was a very, very stressful time, as I'm sure it is for you as well. And so a lot of the conversations, a lot of the information that my attorney presented to me, a lot of the advice that he gave to me, a lot of that I lost in terms of the fact that I was not able to recollect information that he had shared, advice that he had shared after the meeting. So if I would have gone to meet him, maybe we had a lunch meeting or I went to his office, and then I were to go back at home and reflect on some of the things that he had shared, it was hard to actually process that information because a lot of that information had escaped my mind. It had never been stored. And so I was not very effective in being able to bring back and gather that information and, sort through it and make certain decisions that were right for me. So that was very, very difficult. So retaining information is so important. The practice of mindfulness is so important because it will help you in areas when you are dealing with certain situations, when you need that primary focus, whether it's, with the divorce situation that you're going through, and then you're having to go back and report to work, and then you're having to go back home and take care of the children. There's a lot of moving pieces going on during this time. And keeping our focus and keeping our attention and ensuring that the information that is being given to us, whether it's through our attorneys or through work or through meetings or the children's school, whatever it is, just keeping up with all of that becomes very overwhelming. So finding a steady mindfulness practice will help bring that focus, attention, and retention of information into the mind in a very healthy way. It also helps to manage anxiety. I'm not going to say that it's going to take the anxiety or stress away because life situations happen all the time. We're getting triggered all the time. We're getting faced with unexpected situations all the time. So stress and anxiety are always on a high and then a low and then on a high again. And so we're flowing with the ebb and flow of life and of all the triggers. And so mindfulness really helps that when those situations occur, when those triggers unexpectedly occur and arise, how do we manage those situations? And really observing our autopilot behavior, as in how are we reacting to those situations now immediately, what has become our regular pattern that may not necessarily be serving our purpose. Maybe we're yelling or screaming or shouting at the kids, um, or really, getting down on our attorneys or our exes or soon to be exes, or being really hard on ourselves. Managing those types of reactions is very, very important, so that we can use the tools that are taught in mindfulness so that we can better respond to those situations rather than just blow up and react. I wanted to share, and I used the word triggers earlier in the previous slide, and I want to bring that word back into this slide and just kind of talk about some of the common daily triggers that we experience in our daily life. And keeping in mind, of course, the process of divorce, there's going to be a lot of triggers there as well. And so I was thinking about the time that I was going through divorce and my journey, and kind of put some stuff in here that was my personal trigger. And also you might be able to resonate to this as well, but I'm sure you can also add some of your own. But some of the things that just came to my mind was, I constantly was thinking about the future. And so whenever I was thinking about the future and I would use the terms what if, the what if always projected a very negative, fear-based outcome. The worst case scenario is what I always imagined. And so that was constantly providing me with a whole bunch of angst. I was experiencing so much anxiety because I was painting a what if situation that was, the worst possible outcome. Things like, where will I live? How will I survive? At that time, I did not have a job. So, how will I get a job? I'd had to leave my full-time job because my father-in-law was also diagnosed with cancer. And so I quit my job to participate my obligations as a caregiver. And so, having quit the job and now going through divorce and not being employed and not having any source of income, that was really scary for me. And so the worst case scenarios was like, what if I don't get a job? What if I don't have enough money to support myself or pay my rent or pay my bills? What if that happens? And so a lot of anxiety was being experienced at that time. I recall during the time of preliminary orders, my ex-husband said to the judge that he was no longer going to be able to pay for private school for my son. At that time, my son was in pre-K at a private school in Dallas. And so by telling the judge he wasn't going to be able to pay, I was really worried about where he was going to go to school. And if he wasn't going to be paying for the fees, then who's going to pay for the fees, and what public school is he going to go to? Because the area that I was living in was Dallas ISD. So, not a very good school district at all, and not somewhere that I would want my son to attend. And so all of that anxiety was on me. And, what if he's going to screw me and, give me a bad deal? What if he will leave me with very little money? So all of these things were troubling my mind. Of course, I spent a lot of time also thinking about the past and, the broken promises, the disappointment, the pain, the resentment, the anger. I was extremely depressed. I was having suicidal thoughts. My family wasn't around me. I was alone. Had no friends really, because all the friends were friends that we hung out with when we were married. And so there was a sense of isolation and loneliness, and it was all terrible. Every time I would receive a text message from the ex, and I call that text from the ex, that was a trigger for me, because there was never good news to be shared. There was always stabbing remarks, threatening remarks. It was horrible. Our communication was very bad. There was a time also that my attorney informed me that my ex-husband had tried to file a temporary restraining order against me, so that I wouldn't be able to see our son. And that was, terrifying as well. Being in the child custody battle with your ex is also, heart-wrenching as a mom. My son was only 4 years old at the time. And so it was hard. It was hard to be away from him. It was hard to imagine that his needs were being fulfilled because, he was a little guy. And, for me, he needed his mom. And so it was hard to be without him for extended periods of time. And that caused me a lot of anxiety. And like I said, I wasn't employed. And so my finances and my financial situation was heavily compromised. Okay, so I mentioned how when we're triggered, sometimes we have the same repetitive reactive behaviors. And so let me talk about repetitive behaviors. What I also like to call autopilot behavior is a way of just automatically doing things over and over again in the same way. And so from the time that we wake up in the morning, we have a routine, we get out of bed, we go to the bathroom, we brush our teeth, we wash our face, we wash our hands, then we get ready for work, we get the kids out of bed, whatever the autopilot behaviors are that you do automatically, redundantly, without really thinking. So brushing our teeth, taking a shower, eating, driving, all of these we tend to develop autopilot behaviors. And so not much thought goes into it. We're not very mindful about it. We just do things automatically. And mindfulness teaches us, once again, to do things with more intention, to do things on purpose, to pay attention on purpose, to focus more. And so I'll give you a very common example of autopilot behavior is eating, where we serve ourselves food and then we just kind of start putting the food in our mouth. We chew it, we swallow it, put food in our mouth again, chew it, we swallow it. But in doing that automatically, for instance, even sometimes we do it in front of our computers. We might have a Zoom call or we might be doing some work. And so we're eating and doing our work at the same time. And that is one example of really not doing that activity of eating mindfully at all. In those times, we may feel like we're not really tasting the food, we're just chowing it down. We may tend to overeat. We, don't really enjoy our food. Even after we've eaten and we've put our plate away, perhaps we're just like, oh, like I ate that so fast, I could just, I inhaled it. And that happens to me quite often. And so what I find is that in times like that, people tend to overeat and overindulge in food. And so we're not using our senses on purpose. And so, when we look at autopilot behavior, what we want to do is instead of doing things automatically, we want to engage in it more mindfully with purpose and with intention and attention. And the way to do that is to use the five senses, is to really engage those five senses. And so, if we're eating, we want to kind of notice on our plate using our five senses. We start by just looking at our food, using the sense of sight to notice the colors and the shapes of the food, and the quantity of the food. Using physical touch, we want to really notice the textures of the food. Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it, when we bite into it, what does it taste like? Is it sour? Is it sweet? Is it spicy? When we smell that food, what does it smell like? Is it an earthy smell? Is it a sweet smell? Is it a pungent smell? So really engaging those five senses is very, very important, because the more we do that with every aspect of our activities and the experience of our activities, we really gain so much more of a fulfilling experience. And what happens is our focus starts to improve. Our attention starts to improve. We begin to notice things more. And again, it goes into that memory bank and we remember that we did these things. Sometimes we're asking ourselves, did I eat my medication, or did I forget to eat my medication, or did I drink my 5 glasses of water yet, or did I eat lunch? Sometimes we really forget things like that, and it seems absurd, but our mind is trying to focus in so many different areas, trying to do so many different things, that we're really not being able to remember effectively what we're engaging in and when. Oftentimes, I've also said that we're communicating in autopilot. So if you are attending to a text message and your little one is trying to have a conversation with you, you're not engaged, you're not focused, you're not paying attention, and so you don't really remember the facts that are being shared with you. And I mentioned this about my attorney as well. There's a lot of things that I don't remember him saying to me at all, and that has affected, the decisions that I made and the decree that I've signed. I don't remember hearing it, and quite honestly, at this point, I can't say whether I was ever told those things or not, or whether I simply just don't remember. It's very difficult to say because my mindset was not in a place and space where, it was conducive to me making the right types of decisions. And so, yes, it's really important for you to have an attorney that advocates for your best interest, but at the same time, you need to be in the right frame of mind as well to have those very difficult conversations and to ask the necessary questions and get the necessary clarification from your representative. So, mindfulness really helps us to engage more mindfully in these types of activities and experiences in our daily life. Back to, the use of mindfulness and the experiences that we can create from using mindfulness in our everyday. What mindfulness is going to encourage us to do is put more of an effort into our lives to really experience life with more attention, with more awareness, with more intention, with purpose, and with curiosity. And it's a way of allowing yourself to start becoming more open and to become more curious and to really tap into almost like your inner child, because I believe that as children, we were curious about everything. Everything, put us in the state of awe. Experiencing life was an experience of awe. And as we have grown up, we have become these senseless robots that are not mindful in our behavior at all. And we literally pretend and act like we're robots. We're constantly moving and responding in autopilot. And so what we want to begin doing with the mindfulness experiences and creating more mindfulness in our life and bringing more mindfulness into our life is to live with more attention, awareness, intention, purpose, and curiosity. So a few strategies of how to relieve stress and burnout. The first point I want to share, or the first tool I want to share, is breath focus. And so breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your mouth. So one breath in through the nose and one breath out through the mouth, I refer to as one breath cycle. So starting each morning, doing 10 breath cycles will really help you begin the day feeling grounded. And then you can practice this during the course of the day at any time where you feel like you've been off center or you feel off balanced or stressed out. At the end of the evening, before you go to bed, be sure to start up a gratitude journal. And so you can write your gratitude for the day, the things that we take for granted, especially be sure to count your blessings. Another thing that I love to personally do is, I like to have bubble baths, but take time for you. So what do you do for yourself, for your own peace of mind? You can go for a mindful walk, meet with friends. You can listen to some music, go for a yoga class or a meditation class, but take time for you. There's lots of apps online on YouTube videos, or you can join a class and go for a meditation, go for a sound healing session. But take time definitely for you and try and spend less time on your technology. And so maybe you can say to yourself that you are not going to look at your phone after 6 o'clock and put that phone away. And just take that technology fast, because a lot of times we spend time on social media and that's unnecessary time wasted when you can probably just go and enjoy a nice warm bubble bath. So be sure to take time for yourself. What I have found to be particularly important and impactful is changing the story in my mind and in my thoughts. And so mindset, I found, is key. So whenever bad things happen, we tend to think, why is this happening to me? And if we just start to change the vocabulary even, that will help with the mindset. So instead of saying that life is happening to you, know that life is happening for you. Even in the most difficult situations, allow yourself to become curious about what is in this for me? Most of the time, when we are having our thoughts and our what if situations tend to be the worst case scenarios, those thoughts are stem from a fear-based mindset. So I like to look at the word fear as FEAR, false experiences appearing real. We tend to project the worst case scenario. So let's go ahead and shift that and try and see if we can come from more love-based thinking. And that means if we're thinking of a what if situation, instead of projecting the worst case scenario, why don't we go ahead and visualize the best case scenario? In that moment, I promise you will get to feel a lot better, and a lot of the heaviness that you carry from that negative mindset will change into feeling light and feeling more optimistic and feeling excited and curious about the endless possibilities of all the great outcomes. So stay as best as you can rooted in love-based thoughts. When we talk about life happening to us, we experience life as a victim, we're pain, and we're in pain, we're stuck, we feel powerless and helpless and hopeless. But when we start to change that mindset and tell ourselves that life is actually happening for us, there's an opportunity for growth and purpose and curiosity. So just as best as you can. And at least when you can't do that, notice that you're shifting back into the fear-based thoughts and bring yourself back to the breath. Take a few of those deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, and begin to shift into the mindset that things are always happening for you. Welcome to today's meditation. At this time, I invite you to begin to get comfortable in your chairs. As you straighten your backs, erect your spines, lay your feet flat on the ground, making sure that they are uncrossed, and lay your hands gently in your lap. And then slowly begin to close your eyes. Now bring your attention to your breath. Notice the flow of your breath in this present moment. Bring awareness to the breath and simply notice it. Notice if it's fast or slow. Notice if it's deep or shallow. Whatever the flow of your breath is in this present moment, you do not need to try and change, control, or alter the experience. Simply allow it to just be. Your breath will serve as an anchor point. And so at any time during this course of this meditation, if you notice any thoughts arising, emotions coming up, if you become aware of the physical sensations in your body, or any sounds around you that are causing distraction, simply allow yourself to bring your attention gently back to the breath, noticing its flow in this present moment, so that you can become grounded again and feel balanced. For today's meditation, we're going to focus on the word peace. 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 repeatedly affirm in your mind, I am peace. Allow yourself to embody the word peace. Allow yourself to feel it in your being, deep down in your core. Let your mind experience peace. Let your thoughts be peaceful. Let your body experience peace. Let the sensations in your body bring you peace. Let the emotions that arise bring you peace. Let the flow of your breath bring you peace. If there's anything that you are experiencing other than peace, simply notice what that is. Without judgment, simply just bring awareness. And with your breath flowing naturally as it is, you may also gently invite an intentional deep breath in through your nose. Exhale deeply and slowly out through the mouth. And allow that peace to be experienced in this moment. Through those intentional breaths, allow peace to be experienced. Breathing in once again, in through your nose. Exhaling slowly and deeply out through the mouth. Resume normal breathing and notice the state of this present moment for you right now. What are you experiencing? Are you able to experience this peace now? Are you embodying it? Are your thoughts feeling more peaceful? Are the emotions feeling more peaceful? Notice any resistance or notice just the natural flow. Notice how much peace has taken over and continue to use your breath to invite more peace in, intentionally breathing in through the nose, exhaling slowly and deeply out through the mouth. Remember that you can continue this practice every day in the morning as you invite peace into your space so that as you start your morning peacefully, the peace will remain with you throughout the day. Continue on this pattern for a few more moments. And then whenever you're ready, you can slowly begin to open your eyes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity today. If you have any questions or comments or want to inquire about private mindfulness and meditation sessions with me, please feel free to email me or contact me even through Facebook. That's my email address, mmseries2016@gmail.com, or you can search me under Facebook as Farahana Surya Namaskar. Thank you all and have a blessed rest of the day.